Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Hot Wallet. Today, we have the CEO and founder of Aptos, Shaikh, joining us to talk about his new blockchain and how it benefits the culture. Hi, Mo, and thank you so much for joining us today. And for those who don't know who you are, could you tell us a little bit about what you do and what is Aptos?
First of all, thanks for having me, Rosemarie. I'm Shaikh, co-founder and CEO of Aptos. We are a new layer one blockchain. We've been building this for over 4 years in different forms. But in simple terms, Aptos is a blockchain that is more efficient than the blockchains out there today. It's reliable and it's consistently upgradable. We think together this makes a blockchain very powerful and much more meaningful for all the different use cases that people are excited about using blockchains for.
But why does the world really need another blockchain, Mo?
Sure. I mean, if you look at the total number of blockchain users out there today, often the number that's quoted is around 10 million daily active users. Now, if you look at that in the grand scheme of how many users there are in the world that use the internet or the mobile phone, that are all, of course, transacting, that pales in comparison. And if you want to truly create a network that can create a human connection or transaction from one end of the world to another, you need a blockchain that is going to be safe for users, it's going to be reliable, and it's going to consistently be upgradable. We haven't seen that to date, although we are seeing upgrades take place over many years. Aptos is designed differently. We are a proof of stake network that uses very little energy. We are a network that costs pennies to use for an individual, so it doesn't cost high gas fees like other blockchains. It's incredibly fast. Transactions happen in the blink of an eye. And we don't settle on that status today. We know the world will continue to innovate. Creators will build new items. People will want to be able to transact. And that means our blockchain needs to be able to upgrade. And there are very few folks out there in the world that can build blockchains that scale for different use cases. And as we've looked at all the different use cases that are out there, whether they span from maybe me sending Rosemarie some money across the world to someone playing a video game that wants to share digital assets or NFTs with each other, you need a blockchain that's going to support that not only today but for the future.
And so you say there are very few people out there who can create a blockchain with various use cases. Mo, how are you one of these people? What did you do to learn how to create this blockchain?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think teams that need to build blockchains have to have different perspectives, and they should not only look at technology and approach it from a perspective of, well, this is a better technology, but you have to understand human-centric use cases. I grew up in Brooklyn. I'm a first-generation Pakistani immigrant. I firsthand saw value not be passed to the people that are creating that value. And I worked in financial markets. I used to work at BlackRock, where I saw the importance of valuable networks and people being able to participate in those networks. I've firsthand, benefited from being able to share money across the world with my family that lives in the other side of the country of the globe. If you think about these use cases, you need networks that can perform to solve these real world use cases. And these networks have to perform flawlessly because people are relying on these networks not going down. So you need someone who has the strong understanding and grasp of why value transfer matters. And you also need an amazing group of engineers and technologists that can build these networks. There's a lot of complex math that goes into cryptography. There are a lot of complexities around high performance computing that needs to be taken into account. To bring these types of people together requires a special understanding, and we're very fortunate at Aptos to have an amazing group of individuals that span this breadth of experiences and lenses, and are all aligned on creating a network that can be used by the people and is kind of created by the people.
So Mo, I'm speaking about you as the person, not the CEO, none of that. You as the person. What does it cost to be you? What did it cost to get to this point that you've created this blockchain after working up? You were at Meta. That we'll get to that. Like, what does it cost?
It's a great question, Rosemarie. In order for me to get to where I got to today, I've definitely traversed through a lot. Being a Pakistani immigrant growing up in a Russian Jewish neighborhood in Brooklyn was a very fortunate happenstance, and that firsthand taught me the diversity of individuals and the importance of people working together with a common cause. In a way, it was essentially, the bones of what this country has been built on, and it is part of the American dream. Coming out of undergrad, I was fortunate to work in TradFi, which is what it's now called, and see financial markets from a different lens. So going from again, very grassroots neighborhood and upbringing, quite humble, to work in the throes of financial markets in Wall Street was a very difficult experience as an individual, as you can imagine, but very enriching in a way that you get to see two ends of the spectrum as an American citizen, as a global citizen. I was able to take that knowledge with me through my journey and ultimately go to business school, found multiple startups, but I had the support of an amazing ecosystem. That necessarily, I don't look at it as a cost. I actually think about it as experiences gained through, trial and error. Fast forward, I got to eventually work at a company called BCG as a consultant and see and experience across the world while living in Dubai. And that shaped a much more global perspective where you have people from all walks of life working in a large metropolitan, similar to New York in many ways, but speaking multiple different languages and all trying to transact and work with each other. You had people from Nigeria and Lagos, you had people from Egypt, you had people from China, all there for a purpose of working together. And that was quite beautiful to see. Of course, New York City has that diversity from a different perspective. But all these individuals are constantly transacting and working. And to learn how to operate in Dubai, you had to have perspective in living in a large metropolitan city before. So I was very fortunate to have had that experience. And then fast forward again, being able to be part of a Web3 ecosystem in the very early days of Ethereum, I was able to take that knowledge and that experience of working with a diverse set of individuals and apply it to a new technology, but also keeping in mind the real use cases that this technology can enable. So the cost necessarily isn't high, but it's amassed over many years of engaging and figuring out how to navigate the world.
And you'd say your identity played a huge role in the cost.
I think that's a fair assessment. Identity definitely matters. We are individuals and part of human society, and in order to find your place in human society, I think you have to be comfortable with not only yourself as an individual. My journey is different than that of perhaps Rosemarie's journey in life. But I think the more important thing here is in my life's journey, I've learned to embrace other people's journeys and meet them where they are instead of imposing just my views of the world. Having a sense of curiosity, knowing who the other individual is that you're having a discussion with, I think, and doing that in a genuine way is important in not only having your identity, but also respecting the identity of others.
Okay. So I saw a picture on Twitter, Mo. I want to show it to you.
I'm worried.
So here you have short hair, you're in a suit. Here you have the long hair, more casual clothing. Now that you're in the crypto space, like what does this have to say about the culture of crypto? And I noticed at Mainnet you had on some very cool socks too.
It's first of all, I love that you pulled that up. Not that many people know I had long hair before I wore a suit, actually, and I had to cut my hair to be able to fit into, Wall Street. I merely have gone back and reverted to the mean, is the way I like to think about it. I was always who I am, but that's the society that we live in, right? In order to be in a certain place, you often, from an identity perspective, may have to modify your identity, but that doesn't necessarily change who you are at your core. So I've always been who I am with long hair in the past, and unfortunately, that picture. Well, actually, luckily, that picture is not out on the internet because I had blonde streaks then. And yes, I did have to cut my hair and wear a suit, but luckily, I think the world that we live in today allows us to be who we are. And Web3 is certainly a place where you can be who you are, and I'm glad to have my long hair back and be part of a group that accepts people for who they are.
And if it's a group that accepts people for who they are, why is it so white male dominated?
It's a great question. I think there's a lot of work to do, not only in this space, but in many industries that have been dominated by white males or a particular demographic. But we are seeing the tides turn a bit. Obviously, myself and my co-founder, Avery Ching, are not white males, and that's awesome. We also not only have an amazing group of diversity within our company, but also we're starting to see that in the Web3 space. We're also excited because we have a great representation of women on our team as well. So as this industry continues to grow for Web3, we are proud stewards of being, role models for what the demographic of the world looks like. It's not just white males. It's beautiful, colored, individuals. It's filled with, men and women, not just men. And it's filled with individuals that are looking to foster and grow that because they understand what global diversity looks like, not just one note individual.
So do you feel more free now that you're doing your own thing, you're in this crypto space, you're not at companies like, Meta, where you have to conform?
It's an excellent point. I think going back to your point of identity, you are seeing individuals wanting to be their true selves. And as companies make sure they compete and provide an environment where you can be yourself, there are different spectrums, both in industries and in individual companies. I think some industries will hold on and remain tight on having to require wearing a suit to work. And I think those companies may face challenges retaining talent and attracting new talent, especially the next generation that's coming after me. And I'm very excited about the young minds that are, some more enthusiastic about making change even more so than I am. Meta is working on that, and we think tech is working on that in generally. At Aptos, we don't have any requirements of being a certain way. Again, we encourage open, inclusive dialogue, and we think that's a good representation of what this space should look like. We believe that's a good representation of what the world should look like. Aptos is an Ohlone word that means the people. And if we can't represent that within the four walls and our roof here, we will not be as successful as we hope to be.
Okay. So while we're kind of on Meta, let's stick there for a second. So you were there and you were on the team and the blockchain project failed, if I'm not mistaken. What lessons did you learn from Meta's blockchain project failing to this? It was a rocky launch, the Aptos blockchain. It was a rocky launch. What lessons did you learn? How are you using those lessons to help you with being a CEO and struggling with this launch and all of the criticisms on Twitter?
So I think there's a couple of points here in terms of lessons learned, not necessarily only at Meta, but anytime you come to a large organization, you have a lot of value at stake. for Meta specifically, there's billions of people that use Meta products all over the world, and we have been thinking about how Web3 technology can scale for billions of users. So it's safe to say, one of the lessons learned is we take technology very, very seriously. You cannot have reliability issues or downtime issues. You can't have privacy issues. And we've learned that firsthand through our experience that you pointed out. So when we build Aptos, we make sure that our technology can be used by billions of users at the same time, and again, all over the world. When we were at Meta, we were also thinking about, again, what this technology can do in terms of value creation for billions of people. And that meant, if Rosemarie is in New York and Mo is, let's say, in Guatemala, if Rosemarie wanted to send money to Mo, she shouldn't have to go through expensive money transmitters in between. And that ultimately is really important for Mo because now I can get more of that money to be able to use to buy groceries, to top up my mobile card, or whatever I may need to do in my residence in Guatemala. And that, I think, is really valuable, as a really valuable story, because the lesson there is this technology needs to really build value for the people that need to use it. And we've certainly taken that lesson and applied it to the way we build this technology, but also the use cases that we build this technology for. So, one day we see a world where, again, if Rosemarie wanted to send money to Mo and not have to, pay 15% fees to parties in between, she won't have to do that. It won't take days for Mo's money to get to him because blockchain settles at a much faster rate relative to again, money transmitters in between. So these real world use cases are really valuable for us to focus on, and lessons that we also take with us. So we want to make sure we have rock solid technology that is upgradable for the future, and we all want to make sure we're applying it for real world use cases that are exciting for the average individual. We're not here to build technology for the sake of science. We're purpose built.
Could you tell me some use cases that would benefit the culture, music, entertainment?
It's all about the culture, actually. I love that. So, yeah, I mean, if you look at creators today, whether they're an artist selling their canvas at an art gallery might take a pretty big cut. An auction house may take a pretty big cut. Let's say Mo and Rosemarie create an awesome song together, and we want to share it with the world. Well, we might have to go through a music distribution platform, your app of choice. They also take a pretty big cut. And what also happens in both of those scenarios for the artist or the musician is we don't even know who bought our stuff, who listened to our stuff. So we can't even engage with our biggest fans. This technology bridges the individual who is excited about the creator's pieces, whether that be, again, an artist canvas or a song, even an NFT, and allows them to engage with each other directly without having to pay heavy fees in between, being able to work directly or engage directly with his or her fans. And we think that's the world that we're moving towards as creators are becoming even more creative these days. There has been an overwhelming amount of content that has been created over the last 3 years compared to the last 100 years in human history, thanks to mobile phones and the speed at which we share content. But we don't think that creators are benefiting. We think large platforms are unfortunately benefiting. So we look to apply our technology. Web3 is a very powerful mechanism for bridging the gap and making creators happy and connecting them and their fans also closely with the creators together.
So what's your plan to get people bullish on Aptos?
We're a humble group of people. You probably saw the Twitter chatter. We don't necessarily like to respond with hype. We are of the belief that we let our work speak for itself. So obviously with mainnet being live, we encourage people to come test the technology, to use it. And we think that technology will stand on its own 2 feet and its merit relative to, all the other products out there in the market today. We are fortunate because we have over 200 projects already building on our network. Everyone from very small entrepreneurs and Web3 builders to really large companies across gaming and payments and DeFi that are bringing inclusivity, everything from financial inclusivity to really cool creator use cases. And we're excited that these large companies and these entrepreneurs are working side by side to create the internet of the future, a much more fair internet. So, we do think our technology will speak for itself, but we will also let our community speak for itself. And of course, we will share our learnings and our innovations along the way as we continue to advance the Aptos blockchain.
Okay, well, if it's for the people, Mo, the people have to know how and where to access it.
Yeah, we are on Twitter. We are also, you can go to our website, aptoslabs.com or Aptos Foundation. And please jump in, engage with us, join the community, jump into our Discord, test out the network, check out an asset, build something. Everyone has a different profile, so I want them to take whatever they would like to build on the internet as it is today, and maybe try it on a blockchain. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with the outcomes. And also share your feedback. We are always open to community input. I appreciate everyone on Twitter sharing their input, and we take it with a chuckle. We also take it seriously. So please keep that feedback and input coming. It's what's going to make us all collectively better.
Okay. So finally, Mo, what is next for Aptos, and what's next for Mo, the CEO, and Mo, the person?
I guess I can start with what's next for Aptos. We're going to continue to work on our network and work with really cool partners across the world, large or small. We have a very diverse community of folks that are building all across the world. We have a women team in Singapore that's building cool stuff. We have engineers that are in New York that are building cool stuff. And we want to make sure we continue to upgrade our network and support all their use cases. And what does that mean for Mo? Well, that probably means I get to hang out with these cool builders across the globe and continue to take the lens that I've been so fortunate to have as a global citizen, and share my learnings and also learn from those that are building on our network, and continue to learn, take those learnings and apply them to continuing to improve Aptos for the users and for all the people.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mo.